Have you ever wondered why a loving and all-powerful God allows suffering and evil in the world? This is a question that has haunted humanity for centuries. Everywhere we look, there is suffering, children going hungry, innocent people dying in wars, natural disasters destroying lives, and countless personal tragedies that leave scars we cannot see. If God is all-powerful and all-loving, why does He permit such pain? The answer is not simple, but it is not impossible to explore. To understand this, we must first recognize the nature of suffering and evil in our world. There are two primary forms of suffering, one that arises from human actions, called moral evil, and another that comes from natural causes, called natural evil. Moral evil includes acts like murder, theft, and betrayal. Natural evil includes earthquakes, floods, diseases, and accidents that harm innocent people. Both forms of suffering challenge our understanding of God's love and justice. One explanation that many theologians offer is that God has given humans free will. Free will is the ability to choose between right and wrong, good and evil. Without free will, humans would be nothing more than robots, programmed to follow rules without any understanding or love. Love, trust, and moral goodness can only exist if there is a real choice. The ability to choose wrongly is the very reason moral evil exists. When humans misuse their free will, evil enters the world, and suffering follows. This does not mean God wills evil, but He allows the consequences of free choices to unfold. Free will is a gift, but it comes with responsibility, and the presence of suffering is a consequence of human freedom. But suffering is not only about human choice. There is also suffering that arises naturally, without anyone doing anything wrong. Why would God allow earthquakes, diseases, or natural disasters? One answer is that life itself is a process of growth and development. Philosopher John Hick referred to this as the soul-making process. Just as physical strength develops through challenges and resistance, the human spirit grows through facing adversity. When we encounter difficulties, we develop patience, empathy, courage, and compassion. If there were no suffering, these virtues could not exist in their fullest form. Suffering is a crucible in which character is forged, shaping us into beings capable of love, wisdom, and moral understanding. Another perspective is that evil and suffering exist because they can lead to a greater good that would otherwise be impossible. For example, acts of heroism, selflessness, and sacrifice often emerge in response to tragedy. People who rescue others from danger, care for the sick, or comfort those in pain demonstrate the highest forms of moral courage and love. Without suffering, these extraordinary expressions of goodness would not exist. In this way, suffering is not meaningless. It serves a higher purpose that may not be immediately visible to us. Yet, despite these explanations, the presence of seemingly pointless suffering challenges our faith. Why do innocent children suffer? Why do natural disasters strike without warning, taking lives indiscriminately? These events seem to have no purpose and leave us questioning God's justice. Some argue that our limited human understanding cannot grasp God's plan. Just as a child cannot comprehend a parent's decisions, humans may not understand the divine reasoning behind certain events. Trusting in God's wisdom, even when circumstances are painful, is an essential aspect of faith. Sometimes, the answers to why suffering exists are revealed only in time, or perhaps only in eternity. Throughout religious history, suffering has been understood as part of a larger divine narrative. In Christianity, the suffering of Jesus on the cross is the ultimate example of suffering for a greater purpose. His pain and sacrifice brought redemption and hope to humanity. In Hinduism and Buddhism, suffering is often linked to karma, the law of cause and effect, which teaches that our actions have consequences that we must face. In all these traditions, suffering is not merely an obstacle, but a pathway to understanding, compassion, and spiritual growth. By facing suffering, we learn, we empathize, and we connect more deeply with the divine. It is important to note that not all suffering is directly explainable. Some suffering appears gratuitous, meaning it has no apparent purpose. A child born with a severe illness, a sudden natural disaster, or a random act of violence can leave even the most faithful questioning. The problem of gratuitous suffering is the most challenging for theologians. because it seems to contradict the idea of a loving and all-powerful God. Some scholars suggest that what appears gratuitous to us may have a purpose beyond our understanding, or that the presence of evil allows for the development of certain goods that are otherwise inaccessible. While this may not satisfy every heart, it reminds us that human perspective is limited, and the fullness of God's plan may be beyond what we can perceive. Coping with suffering requires both practical and spiritual approaches. Faith provides comfort, hope, and meaning in times of pain. Support from family, friends, and community strengthens resilience. Practices such as prayer, meditation, and reflection help individuals process suffering and find inner peace. Many find that through suffering, they discover deeper compassion, humility, and a greater appreciation for life itself. By acknowledging pain without being overwhelmed, humans can transform suffering into a source of growth and understanding. Ultimately, the question of why God allows suffering and evil does not have a single, definitive answer. It is a complex interplay of free will, natural processes, the development of moral and spiritual virtues, and the limits of human understanding. While the presence of suffering is undeniable, it also opens the door to profound moral, emotional, and spiritual growth. It challenges humans to act with compassion, to love deeply, and to seek justice and goodness in a world that is often harsh and unpredictable. The journey through suffering can lead to transformation, resilience, and a deeper connection with the divine. Even in the face of immense pain, faith encourages hope. History is full of individuals who endured unimaginable suffering and emerged with wisdom, strength, and compassion. These stories remind us that suffering, while painful, can be a catalyst for profound personal and spiritual development. They also show us that in a world filled with pain, acts of love and kindness shine even brighter. Each gesture of empathy, each act of courage, and each expression of selflessness counters the darkness and reflects the divine presence in the world. In conclusion, suffering and evil are realities that cannot be ignored. They challenge our understanding, test our faith, and shape our character. God allows suffering for reasons that may include the preservation of free will, the development of moral and spiritual virtues, and the realization of greater goods that arise in response to adversity. Though some suffering may remain inexplicable, it offers an opportunity for growth, empathy, and connection with the divine. By facing suffering with courage, reflection, and faith, humans can find meaning and purpose even in the most difficult circumstances. Life's hardships, rather than diminishing our experience, can deepen our understanding of love, justice, and the presence of God in a world that often confounds us with pain and evil. Even as we reflect on these truths, it is important to recognize that suffering is not simply a personal trial, it is a shared human experience. Across cultures and generations, people have faced immense hardship, yet the stories of endurance, resilience, and hope remain universal. Consider the countless individuals who, despite losing everything, have found ways to rebuild, to love, and to give back. Their lives testify to the remarkable capacity of the human spirit to rise above pain and transform it into meaning. In the midst of suffering, our relationships with others often become our greatest source of strength. Acts of kindness, empathy, and support ripple outward, reminding us that even in a world marked by evil and tragedy, love persists. When someone extends a helping hand, listens with compassion, or sacrifices for another, the presence of God's love is made manifest in human action. Through these moments, we realize that suffering can cultivate not only personal growth but also a deeper connection to the community and the divine. History provides countless examples where adversity has inspired acts of extraordinary courage. People who face injustice, oppression, or disaster often rise with determination that surpasses ordinary limits. Soldiers who protect others at great personal risk, doctors and nurses working tirelessly during epidemics, ordinary citizens intervening to prevent harm. These actions highlight a profound truth: the existence of evil and suffering can evoke the highest virtues of humanity. In responding to pain, individuals manifest courage, empathy, and moral conviction, demonstrating that life's challenges can become catalysts for extraordinary good. Yet, the experience of suffering also confronts us with the limits of human understanding. We may never fully comprehend why certain tragedies occur, why some people endure suffering while others seem spared, or why natural disasters claim lives indiscriminately. These mysteries invite humility, reminding us that our perspective is limited. Just as a child cannot grasp the complexities of the adult world, humans may not fully apprehend the divine reasoning behind the events of life. Faith, then, becomes a guiding principle, allowing us to trust that there is purpose, even when it is not immediately visible. Suffering also encourages reflection on our values and priorities. When we confront hardship, we are compelled to examine what truly matters: the relationships we cultivate, the principles we uphold, and the compassion we extend to others. Pain can act as a mirror, revealing our deepest strengths, weaknesses, and potential for growth. By facing adversity with awareness and intentionality, we discover facets of ourselves that might otherwise remain dormant. In this way, suffering can illuminate the path toward personal and spiritual maturity. Furthermore, the inevitability of suffering prompts us to consider our responsibility toward others. Recognizing that every person encounters trials, whether visible or hidden, instills a sense of empathy and moral duty. Small gestures of care, consistent acts of justice, and the willingness to support those in need are ways in which we participate in the alleviation of suffering. These actions, though seemingly modest, embody the principles of love, service, and divine presence in a tangible form. In responding to the suffering of others, we not only assist them but also strengthen our own character and understanding of life's deeper purpose. It is also essential to acknowledge that suffering can be transformative when coupled with reflection and meaning-making. Many who endure hardship report that these experiences, while painful, lead to profound insights about life, faith, and human connection. Survivors of illness, loss, or tragedy often speak of heightened empathy, strengthened resolve, and a clearer sense of purpose. This suggests that suffering, though inherently difficult, contains the potential for growth that surpasses mere endurance. It can foster wisdom, resilience, and a capacity for compassion that extends far beyond the individual. Moreover, suffering invites a reevaluation of what we consider success or fulfillment in life. Material comfort, social status, and external achievement often pale in significance compared to the virtues cultivated through adversity. Patience, humility, empathy, and perseverance emerge as invaluable qualities, forged through encounters with pain and challenge. By embracing these lessons, humans cultivate a deeper understanding of what it means to live well, ethically, and meaningfully. Suffering, therefore, can become a profound teacher, instructing us in the art of living with purpose, integrity, and love. In addition, facing suffering with mindfulness and reflection encourages a profound connection with the divine. Prayer, meditation, and contemplation allow individuals to engage with their pain in a constructive way, seeking guidance, solace, and understanding. These spiritual practices provide perspective, reminding us that our experiences are part of a larger, interconnected reality. By situating personal hardship within a broader spiritual or philosophical framework, we can derive meaning and comfort, even amidst life's most perplexing trials. The universality of suffering also underscores the importance of compassion across humanity. When we recognize that suffering touches all lives, regardless of culture, status, or circumstance, we cultivate empathy on a global scale. The awareness that each person's struggle is part of the shared human condition fosters solidarity, compassion, and moral responsibility. It motivates actions that transcend individual concern, encouraging a collective commitment to alleviate pain, promote justice, and nurture well-being. Finally, while we may never fully unravel the mystery of why God allows suffering and evil, we can engage with it constructively. We can choose to respond with courage rather than despair, with compassion rather than indifference, and with hope rather than resignation. Suffering need not render life meaningless. Rather, it can illuminate the capacity for moral and spiritual growth, revealing our potential for love, resilience, and connection with the divine. By embracing these lessons, we participate in a greater narrative, one in which human courage, empathy, and faith confront suffering and transform it into a source of profound meaning. Ultimately, the presence of suffering and evil in the world invites us to reflect, to grow, and to act. It challenges our understanding and tests our faith, but it also provides an opportunity to cultivate virtues, build deep connections, and discover purpose. Through awareness, resilience, and engagement with the suffering of ourselves and others, we find pathways to meaning that transcend pain. While the problem of evil may never be fully resolved in human terms, the ways in which we respond to it define our character, shape our communities, and reveal the enduring presence of love and divine guidance amidst the trials of life. In the end, suffering does not diminish the human spirit, it reveals it. It calls us to courage, inspires acts of kindness, and beckons us toward understanding. It reminds us that even in the midst of pain, hope persists, love prevails, and the divine remains a guiding presence. By confronting suffering with mindfulness, faith, and compassion, we not only navigate the challenges of life but also transform them into opportunities for growth, empathy, and connection. And so, the answer to why God allows suffering and evil may not be simple or immediate. Yet, in the journey through hardship, in the acts of courage and kindness that emerge, and in the spiritual insight that suffering fosters, we glimpse a profound truth: even amidst the trials of life, love, purpose, and divine presence endure.